What's good, y'all? What it do? What it do? From Frankie Beverly to Faith Evans, from Anita Baker to Andre 3000, from Maxwell to Megan Thee Stallion, the music has always held the lessons, and we just didn't know we were supposed to be taking notes, y'all. Welcome to Lyrical Lessons with Leo. I'm Leo Rochelle, your lyrical therapist for the evening. And this is the show where we dive into old school R&B, southern hip hop, neo soul, and everything in between to uncover the emotional and psychological lessons hiding in the lyrics. Because the music's been your therapist all along. Now let me help you understand what it's been trying to say. You ready to listen? Come on in the room then and get your lyrical lesson with your girl Leo Rochelle. What's goody, y'all? What's goody? I'm ready to have an amazing time with this episode because this song, and it's not a full song, but it deserved a full episode. This interlude is an interlude by none other than Miss Jilly from Philly. And tonight we tapping into the interlude by the name of Pause. If you have not had the opportunity to take a listen to Pause by Jilly, it is one amazing lyrical compilation of things. It is on her album titled Woman. It is a brief interlude. I think the interlude is maybe a minute and 30 seconds. But I'm going to break down those lyrics from that short frame of time into something amazing that you all get to fully understand and experience. But also, I hope that my breakdown of her song resonates with you through once you absolutely get back to go listening to Jill Scott, that my breakdown of the lyrics will resonate with you in such a way that you do not take that song for granted after you listen to both. Okay? So the first, how we give you the theme. Every episode of Lyrical Lessons with Leo has an episode theme, and the theme for tonight is the emotional, spiritual, and psychological necessity of pausing before life breaks you completely. Okay? Before life takes you all the way up out the game, you got to take a pause. The interlude is short but sweet, emotional, and it says what so many of us need. It says what so many of us are navigating on a regular basis. It says what so many of us really feel about how we're navigating life on a regular basis, on a day-to-day. And I hope that, again, I really hope this episode resonates with you all as you listen to the interlude. But it also says what so many of us are afraid to say or ashamed to say or too exhausted to say out loud. Okay? Some of us are afraid to admit that we are not okay. Some of us are afraid to say that out loud. And that's what the interlude is about. The interlude is literally talking about, I'm not okay. I am not okay, but we're going to have a conversation about it. And we live in a culture where those words are sometimes overlooked. But also people ask you, like, how you doing? And you're like, I'm not okay, actually. Or when people ask us how we're doing, we automatically respond, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm okay. Because the narrative is that people don't want to hear anything outside of that, but we also don't want to put people on alert about our mental health or our mental wellness or any of that. So The culture that we live in also prioritizes productivity over peace, performance over healing, and functioning over actually feeling. Excuse me. So we keep a lot of the things that we're dealing with or going through to ourselves. And also, a lot of times we do performative showing up. We do a lot of things to make sure that we stay surviving instead of thriving. And we show up for everybody else except ourselves. So it's time to start showing up for yourself. And we need to do it before our nervous system breaks down, before our nervous system starts screaming for us to rest. I'm literally sitting here now getting ready to take a rest, but I needed to get this episode out because it was important. I suddenly got a little, a little thing going on with my throat. I got my tea on standby. Maybe a little cold coming in because of the weather constantly changing. It's been raining, it's been wet, all of those things. But I do have my tea on standby, so you will see me take a few sips throughout this episode. But this interlude is one of those that feels exactly what a lot of us have been trying to say, what we've been trying to get people to understand. And we get ready to do a deep dive, right? You ready? Okay, let's get to it. The first lyrical moment for tonight. The interlude says, "Hey, it's me. I'm calling to schedule a nervous, no, make that necessary breakdown." I know y'all don't need to hear me sing that, but that's what she said. I'm calling to schedule a nervous, no, make that necessary breakdown. I don't know how many of us have ever taken the opportunity to say, hey, I just need to schedule this breakdown because I know it's coming. I know it's around the corner. I already feel it in every ounce of my being. I know that this breakdown is coming, but I'm going to catch it before it catch me. I'm going to schedule this motherfucker before I see any of it happen or I see myself very all the way at the bottom. I feel it coming. I don't want to be at my lowest. I don't want to hit the bottom of the barrel again. So I'm going to schedule this nervous breakdown, this necessary breakdown before it makes me experience it. So we going to go ahead and put this on the calendar. Okay? She described burnout, emotional suppression, and nervous system overload in that one little part of the song, and that's the opening. That's why I love this interlude so much. Because when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh goddamn," because a lot of us don't realize how necessary a breakdown really is, how necessary those moments that we need to take, but we don't take are necessary. We need the breakdown. We need it. And the best part about it is she said, no, let's make that a necessary. Because she said, I'm calling to schedule my nervous one. But no, let's make this a necessary breakdown. Because it's not just a nervous breakdown. This breakdown is necessary because it's going to keep me from having a nervous breakdown. So, when she said it at first, she said it like, no, I didn't mean to say nervous breakdown. I really meant to say it, a necessary one. But also, I meant what the fuck I said. I'm not playing about needing to schedule it or put it on the calendar, but I didn't say exactly what I wanted to say or how I wanted to put it. And so the realization and the crazier part about a lot of this is that as adults we tend to think that we cannot or should not say anything about a nervous breakdown or not being emotionally intact, physically intact, financially intact, mentally. Like we are in a society that expects us to keep running on empty. You can't run a car on empty. You can't run anything that is of importance and that needs fuel on empty. And that includes you. You cannot keep running yourself on empty. You don't have anything. Now, if this cup was empty and I keep sipping, let me take a sip. If this cup was empty, it would not do its job. It's tea in here, and what the tea is doing its job. If nothing was in here, then I would just be sipping air, and nothing that I'm actually trying to get taken care of, which is my sore throat, would actually be taken care of. This tea is doing its job because the cup had to be filled up first. Your cup needs to be filled up. Some of us are running on empty. Our glass is broken or cracked or making its way there. So we have to get into the habit of actively filling our cup. We got to actively start filling up our cups, because if we are not, you will have to schedule that nervous breakdown instead of a necessary breakdown, okay? So, the interlude within itself speaks directly to people who overfunction, overgive, emotionally suppress, those that try to stay strong for too long and keep surviving without processing any of the things that they've dealt with or that they're going through. I myself can actively say that this was me. I overfunctioned, overgave, emotionally suppressed, stayed strong for way too long, and kept surviving without processing my thoughts and emotion. And it was showing up in so many other ways of my life. And in my other relationships as well, was showing up that I was doing all of that. And my body was, my nervous system, I could feel it in my gut that my body would be shaking sometimes, and I didn't know why. I was sleeping so much that it was insane. I overgave and over processed and showed up, and I wasn't even processing a lot of my emotions because who was I going to tell them to? And not to say I don't have an amazing support system, because I do, but the one thing about having a support system is that those people will show up, but sometimes we're not even prepared for people to show up for us in the way that we need them to. But that's why we tell them, like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'll be fine. Because we keep trying to get people to um not what we're trying to get people to do. We constantly want people to believe that we're okay, even when we're not. And that's just how society is that you cannot show weakness. And that's what we are combating. That's what we're combating in this day and age. We are combating the fact that we cannot say that we're not okay. We cannot say, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, and all of that. I tell people that shit all the time now. I'm overstimulated. I'm overwhelmed. There's too much going on. No, I'm not okay. No, I'm not good. And I'm still learning, because it is a process to learn to speak truthfully about where you are and how you feel and what's going on with you. Because we also live in a society of people who judge you for feeling, for having some kind of life experience, like actually experiencing life as it's happening to you and through you. And I don't understand it. So Jill said so much in that very first part of it. And we do a lot of those things that I mentioned, and our body is on the decline. Our body steadily is on its way to breaking down and making us pause. Because if we don't do the shit that we're supposed to do, our body is going to eventually make us pause. It is not going to give us the option. So, Jill actively removes the level of shame from emotionally collapsing. That's what she did when I'm calling the schedule this necessary breakdown. I'm calling the schedule this necessary breakdown because I'm on the verge of emotionally collapsing. I'm on the verge of falling the fuck out. And because of that, she is giving people permission to do the same. Breaking down is not weakness. Breaking down is none of that. Rest is not laziness. Emotional exhaustion is not part of your personal failures. You have not failed. You are not a failure because you have experienced lifing. Okay? Because that's the other thing that a lot of society wants us to believe, that we are failures if we have not reached certain milestones or society or cultural marks. If we don't have this amount of money, if we don't drive this kind of car, if we don't have this kind of house, then we're failures. And our successes in other areas are not actual successes. They're actually not fully what they should be. Okay. People do all of that and try to make us feel like we are failures, and we're not. You are somebody who is actively living their life and navigating it the best way that they know how to, and doing it in such a way that sometimes people may not even know that you're dealing with things. That's the thing I've recognized within myself. First and foremost, I've recognized that I navigate in such a way that people feel like they should never worry about me. And I'm over here in the floor crying, throwing tantrums, and doing everything else. But when I show up, I show up. And I always say, don't, whatever you do, don't do it with your half ass, do it with your whole ass. And I sometimes do show up with my half ass, but I got a big ass. So even half of my ass is still a lot compared to some people. But honestly, it gives people pause to gives people cause to not pause and check on me, and not see if I'm okay, and not see if I need anything, and not see if I'm mentally okay, and all of those kind of things. So the mental theme here is burnout and nervous system overwhelm. We got to take care of our nervous system. We got to take care of our bodies before we get to the space of burnout, okay? Preventing toxic outcomes. We have to stop waiting until our body forces us to pause, okay? We got to learn to recognize emotional fatigue, irritability, numbness, overstimulation, disconnection, and chronic exhaustion. I was experiencing literally all of those things: numbness, overstimulation, especially disconnection. I was feeling a lot of disconnection recently, not just from myself, but people around me, from community, all of that. So I had to actively take a break and pivot and navigate all of those things. And I'm so happy I started therapy back this week, because it's going to help me to keep from having a nervous breakdown. Okay. So rest is preventative care. It is not a reward that you deserve after your body has gone through the complete destruction process. Rest is not a reward. Rest is actually revolutionary and necessary in order for you to continue to be revolutionary. Got it? Okay. Okay. So the reflective question here is, have have you been asking for help quietly through your exhaustion while pretending everything is fine out loud? Have you been pretending that everything cool? Everything is cool. It's cool. It's cool. And on the inside, everything is screaming and on fire. Have you been doing that? about that. And then let me know. And then we'll talk more. But the second lyric, she says, I won't be answering anything. Nothing. I'm not answering nothing. And this means Miss Jilly is setting a boundary. Her saying, I'm not answering anything. That is her setting a clear cut, raw boundary. Because what? If we don't set boundaries, it leads to people constantly overstepping them. And then we feel an obligation to fulfill the request, even though we set an imaginary boundary, because a lot of times we do that. We set a boundary, but it's not really a boundary because we didn't speak it out loud or we didn't actively say it, and people don't actively know it's a boundary of ours. So we say a lot of these things in order to make people think that we set a boundary. But she said, I'm not answering anything. She set that boundary, and a lot of us need to learn how to set boundaries in that way as well. This is her realizing, I cannot carry nothing else. I cannot do anything else. I cannot show up for anybody else. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't breathe on me. Don't ask me nothing. Don't ask me for nothing. Okay? I don't have it. I'm depleted fully. So, a lot of people struggle with setting those boundaries. And let me tell you why. A lot of people struggle with those boundaries because we were conditioned to believe that accessibility equals love, availability equals worth, responsiveness equals responsibility. And I could even say that sometimes I have an issue with respecting that, because we've been conditioned that if we send somebody a message online and we know that they've seen it, we expect a response right then. I'm guilty of that. I can truly say that I'm guilty of that, because I'm expecting a response. And that is the expectation on me, not on the other person. And so I've had to learn to send what I need to send and move on. And when I get a response, I get a response. And if I don't, then I check back in, because sometimes life is life for people and they need the opportunity to navigate whatever is happening around them. And then we can touch base and get back into that space of doing whatever or having the conversation about whatever. Sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes people are just assholes and don't respond. Or sometimes people just choose not to reply to you or not talk to you or whatever the case may be. But we do have to at least give the thought that other things may be taking place, and it's not necessarily that this person is trying to ignore you or not respond to you. It's just that maybe life is life, and they are navigating a bunch of different things that they don't know how to navigate, and it's heavy. Okay. So a lot of times we get into that space that even while we're emotionally drowning and all of that kind of stuff, that we're still expected to answer calls, text back, show up, overextend, emotionally perform, and we can't do it. Guilt will not let us pause. We feel bad for not showing up. We feel bad for not doing, not being, not performing, not taking a pause that we need to, and not just saying, hey, I don't have it. Emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, I don't have anything left to give. And it is okay. I'm giving you permission to let yourself know that it is okay to say, I don't have it. I ain't got nothing else to give you, honey bunny. I'm sorry. I really tried, but I don't. And really sometimes, like Jill was really just saying, I just need Nothing to be going on, nothing to be happening, nobody asking me for anything. I just need a moment of nothingness. I need a moment of silence. I need a moment of escape. I need a moment to not be needed. I just need a moment to just be. And a lot of people don't get that. Okay. So silence is healing, and not every season of your life requires explanation. Some seasons require retreat. Okay. So there's that. The mental theme of these lyrics is boundaries and emotional preservation. We do have to learn to preserve. Self-preservation is key. And a lot of us haven't learned that. A lot of us haven't learned how to implement self-preservation. And a lot of us are not actively doing the things that we need to do in order to preserve ourselves, our mental, our spiritual, our financial, and all of that. So do what you need to do in order to make sure that you are actively taking care of you. Preventing toxic outcomes. You do not have to emotionally abandon yourself to avoid disappointing others. Okay. Sometimes healing requires disconnecting, unplugging, stepping back, and becoming temporarily unavailable without guilt. The last part is so important, without guilt. We feel so guilty for choosing ourselves, or so guilty for taking a break. And we feel guilty because we might flake on some obligations that we said that we were going to be at, or we don't go to events that we were supposed to be a part of just simply because we were tapped out. We didn't have anything left to give. And we feel so guilty for choosing ourselves because society makes us feel like that you aren't supposed to choose yourself. You're supposed to choose everybody else and choose yourself last. Choose you without guilt. Um, because constantly pouring into other people and doing all of that is going to cause you to be depleted in a way that your body may not be able to bounce back from. Okay. So do what you need to do so that you don't end up out here being depleted and emotional and unstable. The reflective question for this part is: do you allow yourself to rest before burnout, or only after emotional collapse forces you to stop? Which one? Do you truly focus on, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take this day, I'm gonna rest, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna work, I'm not gonna be on my phone, I am actively going to rest? And rest doesn't always mean sleep. Rest means doing some things that you love, tapping into your hobbies, doing something that helps you to relax, to reset, and all of those kind of things. Do you do that without guilt? But also, do you do it um before burnout starts to set in? So that's something to think about. Lyric number 3. This is the part I was like, "Whoo, Lord." She said, "I'll be so busy with my knees on the ground and my hands up towards the clouds, confessing out loud." Confessing out loud. Not to herself, but out loud. This is where it goes from the physical to the spiritual. Jill is literally talking about, I can't do this on my own. I can't do this by myself. I just got to throw my hands up and surrender, and let a higher power take over from here, because I'm exhausted. I am depleted. I have nothing left. She is not defeated, because I want that to be understood. She is not defeated. She is simply surrendering so that she does not have to be broken in order to get back to her normal. Okay. Jill is describing what happens when life overwhelms you enough that performance finally falls away. You tired of showing up, you tired of performing, pretending, and all of that kind of stuff. You literally have no choice but to surrender. And you have to do that in such a way that allows you to do what's necessary. Because sometimes we be so worried about how other people are going to feel about what we do in order to maintain or take care of ourselves in whatever aspect that is. And sometimes we got to step outside of that and just be like, you know what, this is for me. I'm choosing me. I'm choosing to do what's necessary so that I don't have a mental breakdown. It's a lot. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot, but it's a for real thing. She is literally describing what happens when life overwhelms you enough. Like I said, when that performance falls away. So now you ain't got shit else. But to be honest, vulnerable, pray, and release all of that. You got to release it all. So at the point where somebody finally said, all right, this enough. I can't carry this no more. I can't. I've tried. I keep trying. I've been trying. I keep asking for help, but I'm asking for help in the wrong way, from the wrong people. I need whatever higher power I believe in to step in right now. I need whatever higher power that is going to show up for me, the one that hears me when I throw my hands up and my head to the clouds and my voice is very loud. Whichever one is going to hear me, I need you to show up in this moment and in this time, because otherwise I am actively going to lose it. Have you ever been there? Do you know what that feels like? Man, some people don't. But that is where this lyric also speaks to, like, being spiritually exhausted too, because sometimes you have prayed. Sometimes you have prayed and prayed and prayed and asked for God to give and give and give, and for God to show up and all of those other kind of things. And sometimes, just like the old people used to say, he may not come when you want him, but he'll be there right on time. That's how sometimes things happen, because the kind of spiritual exhaustion that she's talking about is the kind where not just your body's tired, but your soul is tired. Your mind is like overloaded. Your emotions are heavy, all of those kind of things. And you need to reconnect with yourself and with spirit more than you need redirection or another distraction. Because sometimes we fill our plate with distractions and other things to do other than fully tapping in to source or power or God or universe or the creator or whatever you practice, So a lot of that happens. So we have to make sure that we are tapping into our healing and our spiritual connections and all of that before we fully tap out, because this shit is hard. So the mental theme for this set is spiritual surrender and emotional release. That spiritual surrendering is going to help that release. Once you throw them hands up and you really speak with God and get into a place where he can hear you and you can hear him, that emotional release is going to happen in a for real way. And I think a lot of us don't expect it and aren't prepared for that release, but it happens. Preventing toxic outcomes. Stop treating emotional suffering like something you must silently survive. Healing requires honesty, support, emotional processing, spiritual grounding, and vulnerability. You cannot heal what you refuse to reveal. Jay-Z said that in one of his songs. You cannot heal what you don't reveal. All right? So the reflective question is, what emotions have you been carrying privately because you feel pressure to always appear strong? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. And then our last set of lyrics here. Jill said, I ain't too proud to say I'm slipping. She said, I ain't too proud to say I'm slipping. Okay? Because sometimes that's the thing that really gets in the way. And I'll give you the full part of that lyric. Um, she said, I ain't too proud to say I'm slipping. So I'm calling to schedule a very necessary breakdown. And at the end of the interlude, she says, leave me alone now. Not later, but right now. Leave me alone right now. Right now today. Cause I can't do no more. I can't deal with it. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I can't deal with it. So leave me alone right now. Some of us let ego lead. We let our ego lead the way, and our ego will be the destruction of a lot of us. The ego will be the destruction of a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of homes and families and things like that, because we do not give ourselves the opportunity to step outside of ego. In this case, with Jill saying that this would be an ego death. This is somebody choosing honesty over the image that they've been trying to maintain for so long, and been trying to make sure that people see them in a certain light and people see them in a certain way. And it's hard for a lot of us to do that, myself included. It's hard for a lot of us to be able to just say, okay, I can't do this no more. I'm slipping, I am falling. And it's not just people that have heavy burdens to bear. It's a lot of us. The strong friend, the provider, the high functioning friends, high functioning people, the leaders, parents, caregivers. Everybody is out here navigating some type of heaviness. And it is okay for us to just simply say that we don't have it. We are slipping. I am falling. I am burdened. I am overwhelmed. I do not think I can handle what's expected for me to handle. But I'm trying. I really am. But I don't think I got it. I'm slipping. And a lot of people are embarrassed to say that. And a lot of people build their identity around being dependable, reliant, resilient, being the strong person, being composed, and being the one that everybody can go to all the time, no matter what. Do you know how how exhausting that can be for anybody? To continuously deal with people always expecting them to show up for them. Um, these lyrics within itself teaches something very important. It teaches us about self-awareness. And it teaches us that self-awareness is not a weakness. Self-awareness is a strength. When you become aware of who you are, what you're doing, and how you're navigating these spaces and the things that you're dealing with, and being able to say them out loud, and being able to say, this is who I am, this is where I'm at, and I need help. That's a big difference. Self-awareness is emotional intelligence, being emotionally aware and self-aware, and being able to verbalize where you are emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and say it out loud, and then leave it where it is, so that people are able to assist if they have the capacity and the desire to. We're not just going to leave it at capacity. We're going to say capacity and desire too. Because some people can have the capacity, but don't have the desire to see you do better or help you or any of that. Some people can have the desire, but not the capacity. So we got to make sure that people have both the capacity and the desire to assist and give you the space to do what's necessary, so that you don't have a breakdown, but you also don't abandon yourself, but they also don't abandon themselves, and they could assist you with getting to where you need to be. And that emotional intelligence is being able to recognize, I'm not okay. I need rest. I'm overwhelmed. I need help. I need a pause. I need a break. And we see people on a regular basis doing the total opposite. When they recognize all of these things, some people don't take them. Some people don't take those opportunities to rest, to take a break, to take a pause, because they feel as though they have to live up to certain standards of, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or I'll do this, that, and the third, when all of these other things happen. And then what ends up happening is some of these people end up taking their own lives. They end up taking the lives of others. They end up taking the lives of people that they love and care about, or they end up taking the lives of the person who may have been in contact with them at the moment of their breaking point. So we have to be aware and cognizant of all of those things, okay? Knowing that you need a break, you need a pause, or you're overwhelmed and all of those kind of things is healthy. And it's okay for you to navigate and say that. You don't have to pretend. You ain't got to perform, okay? Ignoring those signs is very dangerous. So the mental thing for this part is emotional honesty versus performative strength. And the toxic outcome we're trying to prevent is to normalize checking in with yourself before crisis, okay? You do not have to completely break. You don't have to explode emotionally. You don't have to lose yourself. You don't have to isolate in such a dangerous way. Some of us isolate to the point where people don't even know if you're alive anymore. And that may not always be good. I know a lot of us like, people don't need to know my business, but proof of life is actually a great thing for people to know. People do care. And we don't give people the opportunity to show up or to show that they actually care as often as we should. We think a lot of what we think is not true about other people. A lot of what we think or a lot of what we believe that people feel about us or towards us is self-inflicted. It is something that you created in your mind, and that's not even really how that person feels or thinks or any of that. So learn to have conversations, but also learn to give other people grace and step out of your own head and out of your own limits within your mind. Okay. So make sure that you are taking your mental health seriously. And we are coming to the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. So make sure that you take your pause. Take your pause. All right. Pause earlier, rest sooner, speak honestly faster. Okay? It's okay. You are not a superhero. You do not have to do all things and be all things to all people. It is okay to just simply be and be for you. And I know people will be like, oh my God, but that's so selfish. And I got kids and I got this and the third or whatever. But you won't be able to be present for anybody if you're not present for yourself first and do all of those other things in order to be present and show up and all of that. So, the reflective question is, have you built an identity around being strong and so deeply that you no longer know how to admit when you're struggling? And I don't think sometimes we even know that that's the identity that we've built. It's just how we've shown up. And then when we get to a place where it's time for us to say that we don't have it or we're not strong and all of that, we don't even know how to say it because we've realized that people see us that way. So we may not know that's the identity that we've built until we actually need the help. So take the breaks, people. Take the opportunities to rest, pause, get a break. I'm going to take a break right after this show. I'm getting ready to take a pause because it's necessary. And sometimes we need pauses on a regular basis. It don't necessarily have to be long pauses. It can be a pause so that you can catch up with yourself and give yourself the opportunity to slow down a little bit. Because sometimes we go 100 miles an hour, 100 miles a minute, and then we just need those moments to go on here and put ourselves on cruise control. and that's okay. All right. So, to close out, pause is not just an interlude. It is a nervous system prayer. It's what happens when somebody realizes that survival mode is no longer sustainable. Whew. It's been really hard to actually get through this episode with all of these revelations because although I did all of this prior to the show, um, speaking it and saying those things out loud that a lot of us need to practice, that I'm currently actively practicing, does make a big difference. And it really hits in a different way because I didn't say all of these things out loud. I wrote them, I typed them, but now saying them out loud hits different. And I've been trying to make sure that I am not in my feelings and in my emotions for the moment. Because I'm going to have to, like I said, I'm going to take a pause after this episode because it's necessary for me to do so. So, this interlude within itself is very revolutionary because Jill gives people permission to stop, feel, retreat, pray, rest, acknowledge emotional exhaustion. And how does she let you do it? Or gives you permission to do it? She gives you the permission to do it without shame or guilt. Okay? So, the real lesson in these lyrics is that not every pause is procrastination. Some pauses are preservation. Because constantly functioning while emotionally depleted is not strength. It is survival. Okay? And eventually survival mode starts stealing your joy, your softness, your clarity, connection, and your peace. So sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is exactly what the interlude calls for. It calls for you to pause, disconnect, and reset yourself, set your boundaries, confess your hurts, and give yourself permission to heal before life and your body forces you to. Okay? We got to make sure we out here getting what we need before life forces us to take it. And that's the big difference. Life will force us to take something that we were overlooking and did not give ourselves permission to take. So, I'm getting ready to take my pause briefly so I can warm up my tea, let my voice rest for a moment in time before I record something else or do anything else, and give myself the opportunity to rest because my voice is my moneymaker. My voice is what helps me to show up for my audience and things like that, and everything on the PGC platform. So I am going to rest, drink my tea. Let me get some real quick. Let me get some. I'm going to warm it up because it didn't cool off. But I'm going to warm it up. I'm going to take my pause. But I'm also going to do some reflecting in the quiet so that I can see if I'm showing up in ways that are not the healthiest for me and not the best for me, so that I can do and be who I need to be so that PGC can continue rocking and rolling and not just showing up because it's out of necessity. So take your breaks, do what you need to do, give yourself the love that you try to give everybody else, and continue to show up in the best of ways for yourself. I love you all, and I hope that you are taking care of yourself. And after watching this episode, I really hope and pray that everything that you desire for yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, happens for you. It comes to fruition, and that you have a support system that is so amazing that it blows your mind. Okay? I pray that for everybody. I hope you all had an amazing time watching this episode of Lyrical Lessons with Leo. We want you to make sure that you check out our new show, PGC Plugged In. PGC Plugged In is where culture, business, creativity, and community stay plugged in. We want you all to tap in each and every time this show goes live. PGC Plugged In is not a consistent show, but it is our show to tap in with culture, creatives, businesses, and the community with everything that's popping off in and around our areas and in tapping in with our people that we love. Okay. And then make sure you tap in with Lyrical Lessons. You can subscribe to the channel, join our email list, and buy us a coffee. All of these things are available on our YouTube and our Linktree, so make sure you tap in with us because we ain't going nowhere no time soon. And we are about 14 subscribers away from our 1K. So make sure you tap in with us. Hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, share with a friend of a friend. Tell your friends to get with my friends and we can be friends. But I appreciate y'all for tapping in. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Okay? I hope y'all enjoy this episode. But I'm about to get out of here. Some people hear music, but over here, we listen to what the lyrics are trying to tell us emotionally. Thank you for tapping in to Lyrical Lessons with Leo, where music meets mindfulness, therapy meets storytelling, and your favorite songs become mirrors. I'm your girl, Leo Rochelle, and I'm out. Love y'all much. Take care of yourself and each other, y'all. Peace.